Damien awakens to an unanticipated presence and grabs for the single blade Pennyworth has deigned to allow him to keep under his pillow. Snapping his fingers around the hilt, the presence chirps before he can even draw it. Damien opens his eyes. There's a tiny pocket leaning forward over the side of his pillow and grinning brightly at him. It's male-presenting, skinny and bony, wearing a heavy red hoodie and baggy dark jeans. Ethnically white, with black hair, blue eyes, and slightly tanned skin. It looks 12, perhaps, at the oldest, and is the smallest pocket Damien has ever seen in person. It has bruises underneath its right eye and scraped-up knuckles. Its sweatshirt is dirty, its jeans are ripped, and there's duct tape wrapped around his sneakers. It looks malnourished. Damien observes all this in his first blink of awareness, assassin and vigilante training both fiddling it away, and in the second blink, analyzes it. In the third, he snaps the pocket up, palms his blade, immediately rolls out of bed with both in hand, and bolts for his bedroom door. The pocket squeaks in surprise and grabs onto his hand, as if it expects it might be dropped. Damien is not so incapable, though. He stops at the door, opens it very slowly with his knife hand while cradling and concealing the pocket against his chest with the other, and steps out into the hall, neat and careful. It's 4:26 a.m. on a Monday, and he has school today, but he can think of absolutely nothing less important than that fact right now. He walks to Father's room in careful, measured steps and doesn't knock on its door. He stares at the door for a long moment and thinks of Father's utter lack of a pocket, and he had Mother's once, but Grayson is in Bloodhaven. Todd is in Crime Alley. Thomas and Kane both lack pockets, and Gordon and Brown lack them as well and are both in the clock tower right now anyway. Pennyworth is downstairs in the servants' quarters, due to awake soon, but his own pockets are long, long gone. But Drake slept in the manor last night, he reminds himself, tightening his grip on the tiny, fragile-looking thing in his hands, and Damien retreats back to Drake's door. He passed it to get this far, but didn't think to stop at it. His instinctual reaction was to go to Father, but he knows that isn't necessary. The correct instinct, perhaps. Damien raps the butt of his knife very quietly against Drake's door. Just twice. 2 taps, deliberate and clear, but no louder than necessary. Not loud enough for Father to hear. Hopefully. A beat passes. 2. Damien waits. He does not expect to hear Drake coming after all. He feels the slightest sense of presence, and then Drake opens the door. He is unarmored and wearing sleepwear. He looks groggy and rumpled and mildly puzzled, and blinks down at him in surprise. "Damien?" he rasps, clearly just awoken. "What's going on?" "I must speak with you privately," Damien informs him, short and efficient. He keeps the knife visible in his dominant hand, and the pocket concealed against his chest by the other. "You want to talk to me?" Drake frowns, but steps back and allows him entrance into his wreck of a room. Damien takes it immediately, slipping into the room and waiting for him to close the door. He does not comment on the ridiculous state of disarray unbecoming of even Drake's status, because his priorities are unrelated to that, and Drake may not assist him if he does. "Damien, if you have another kitten there, Alfred's gonna—" "It is not a kitten," Damien interrupts tersely, a bit more tension seeping into his shoulders. "It is a private matter." "A private matter?" Drake's frown deepens. Damien is less interested in Drake, however. "I require the assistance of your pockets," he informs him briskly, trying not to sound distasteful about it. Drake blinks stupidly at him, then scrubs the sleep out of his eyes. "Sorry," he says. "I heard you wrong. I thought you said you wanted my pockets' assistance." "I did," Damien says tersely. Damien, Drake says, you hate my pockets. You glare at them all the time and complain whenever they do literally anything, up to and including just existing. A pocket is a vulnerability, and the most undeniable possible Achilles heel. And yours are so very, very obvious. And on top of that, you have 3 of them. Damien does not say. Nevertheless, their assistance is required. He does say. Drake says, still frowning. Okay? Guys? Ringer pops up over one of Drake's shoulders, Favor over the other. Warning appears in his hair in a blur of speed. Presumably, Ringer or Favor carried him over again. Typically, one of them does. All 3 of them look excited, which is not typical behavior in Damien's presence. Understandably, he thinks, but he expects that means they'll know why he is currently in Drake's room, even if Drake himself does not. It's unclear what pockets know sometimes, but clearly Drakes are aware that he is not currently concealing a kitten against his chest. I have a task for you, he informs the 3 of them, short and efficient, and then unfolds his hand from around the pocket cupped in it, who chirps excitedly at the sight of them and attempts to lean towards them. The other 3 light up in unison, and Favor grabs warning as they all bolt over to throw themselves at the new pocket with delighted squeals. It's typical behavior for pockets, and pockets don't hurt each other. If they hate each other, they simply do not engage. Damien barely resists the urge to hide the pocket away again anyway. Oh, Drake says, and blinks. Ringer scoops the little pocket up out of Damien's hands and spins him around in a hug with a happy little crow. Favor and Warning latch onto him too, and the 3 of them squish the tiny little pocket between them. Physiologically, none of them is older than 20, but the pocket is, again, at best, a malnourished 12, so they all still tower over him, even Warning, who did not originate from a particularly large person himself. The pocket chirps happily in an attempt to hug all 3 of them back at once, and they all start fussing over him and chattering amongst themselves in pocket talk. In short order, Pocket is drowning in Ringer's jacket, and Warning is patting through his hair, and Favor is dragging their floating triage towards Drake's desk, and the pocket-sized snacks and pillows and furniture that take up the back corner of it. Damien does not relax, but is mollified, perhaps. The pocket's clothes are in disrepair, and he is visibly bruised and malnourished, and he did not appear in sleepwear, which is more typical manifestation for a pocket, which means, possibly, that his point of origin does not own sleepwear, or at least wasn't anywhere that was safe to sleep last night. The pocket, therefore, is clearly at less than his best, and Damien lacks the resources to provide him with appropriate food and clothing. He is aware that pockets technically do not require those things, but... Damien, Drake says slowly, did you just wake up to him? Damien gives him an unimpressed look, because that deduction is so obvious as to be unworthy of even Drake's skills. Okay, Drake says even slower. And you brought him here because... There are no other pockets currently in residence at the manor, Drake replies shortly. Right, Drake says. Damien glowers at him. Drake does not look enlightened. Ringer, fortunately, is already cuddling the pocket in his lap among the pillows while Favor wraps him tighter in Ringer's jacket, and Warning stacks up a very high tower of snacks next to him. The pocket is basking shyly under the attention and seems pleased, which is also fortunate, Damien thinks. Pockets represent a person's sense of self. For one to manifest in this condition, for one to manifest bruised, it's not very typical for a pocket to manifest bruised. From the look of him, the pocket is most likely either homeless or a refugee, and given that Gotham and Damien has no intention of leaving this city anytime soon, homeless seems the likelier assumption. There are no particular identifying marks on the pocket's clothing, either in branding or in reference to anything like sports team or location or profession. Damien is aware most 12-year-olds in Gotham are unemployed, but a homeless child would require some method of surviving by, whether as a runner or a lookout or a thief. Todd stole tires, though Colin is in the system, which is not ideal in Damien's opinion, but Colin has stated it as a preference to the streets. Damien is not particularly pleased by Colin's living situation either way, but he is perhaps a resource that he can take advantage of at this time. Todd might even be, if the pocket's point of origin is anywhere near Crime Alley. Damien isn't certain if Father is a resource that he can take advantage at this time, or that Father won't disapprove of this. Father doesn't have a pocket anymore, after all. He let Mother's fade. He removed himself from their relationship and shut that connection out. Damien understands his reasoning, but he isn't certain if Father is a resource that he can take advantage of this time, or ever, for something like this. So, Drake trails off. Damien resists the urge to glower at him again, since his pockets are currently attending to the new pocket. Then again, they're the ones doing the work here. Drake is just standing there like an idiot.